Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of SNEED-CAST. Today we're actually here with Joey Gugino from Joey G's Sauce Company, and we're going to be talking a little bit about Joey's backstory and how the company got started. So thank you for joining us today, Joey.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So jumping right into it, if you can tell us a little bit about the business, because I had read that your dad is actually the one that kind of started in the whole sauce game, correct?
Correct. So it's actually kind of a funny story. My dad actually started with our original four recipes back in like the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
He was working in a restaurant, late hours, and when you get done with work, you have some chicken wings and drink a couple beers, and he always was getting the acid reflux and everything else. So he kind of started experimenting with different sauce and different things, different ingredients, and kind of came up with his own recipe,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. Um, we made it for family and friends for as long as I could remember. Um, I went to culinary school. I've been a chef for 17 years now, and I actually had my own personal chef business prior to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to go to people's houses and do events and um, those kinds of things. And essentially, when COVID hit and nobody was allowed in anybody's house, I kind of lost the whole business. And because I was a sole proprietor, I couldn't qualify for any assistance or anything. So we were sitting there, we were kind of talking about it one night, and he was like, "Well, why don't you see what you got to do to sell sauce? See what you got to do to be, commercially sell the sauce." So it was kind of like a joke. Like we kind of laughed about it, like, "Oh yeah, sure, we're gonna go out, we're gonna sell sauce." And so I went through all the stuff. I got my 20C license through the New York State Ag and Markets as a licensed processor, and we made our call it first batch of sauce, and we decided we were going to go to a local craft festival and do samples and sales. And we went, and it was busier than we ever would have expected. We sold over 550 bottles in 2 days.
Oh,
So it was like, okay, we we might have something here.
yeah, no, for being the first sale, that's crazy. 550 bottles. But prior to that, did your dad, because since he obviously came up with the four original sauces, at any point in time, did he want to sell professionally?
No, no. To be honest, I don't know if he he really was. My dad went to school for business.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in business management pretty much his whole career. So I don't know if it was a time constraint or just didn't really think about it. I guess.
Right.
Um, it's kind of it was kind of, I'm going to call it a curveball
Mm-hmm.
because of the way that it kind of lined up and worked out. And like I said, it's become more than I think. At least myself, I can't speak for him, but I can say it's become more than I ever thought it would be, and
And
I'm
then,
sure he kind of feels the same.
by chance, is he currently a part of the business?
Yeah, yeah. He's involved. He helps me out all the time. He's like a consultant,
Right.
like. So, but no, he's very helpful. He's very involved. A lot of input, a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, no, we're glad to hear that it's.
He's one of my take. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm saying I'm glad to hear that it stayed in the family.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much the whole family. We actually basically we do everything ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
we're not mass produced. We're not co-packed. We manufacture, bottle, label, everything,
Right.
all in house.
Actually, now that you're mentioning the whole manufacturing and packaging aspect, what was like, or what was that like in the beginning compared to how it is now, since you have had some time to grow?
So when we first started out, we kind of talked about different packaging options and
Mm-hmm.
different things, and I essentially started with hot fill plastic bottles. Um, and so we started out with a little. I'm not kidding. We started out with a little 3 gallon pot and an induction
Mm-hmm.
burner, and that's what we started out with. And because we have to hot fill, finding plastic packaging that could hold up to hot fill without basically melting was a little bit of a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we ended up ordering a bunch of samples of stuff and trying different packaging and different caps, and we ended up on the little 16-ounce dairy jugs that we were using before. Um, we used we ended up buying a 7-gallon kettle about 6 months in, again for an induction burner, and since then I still got my 3-gallon pot, but I've got a 7-gallon, we've got a 10-gallon, and we just bought a 30-gallon,
Oh.
so we can start scaling a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
We have we've changed we've changed our labels, we've changed our packaging now. We just finished a transition over to glass bottles, so now we're into a 16 and a half ounce glass bottle, um, plastisol sealed caps, shrink bands, and that's when we got into lock coding, we got into printing.
Right. So then, whenever you talk about getting into printing, what is it that led you to find SNEED? What is it that you were looking for at that point?
Um, Essentially, when we were first doing it, everything got coded by hand.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was done by hand. So we had a front label, a back label, and peel the front label, stick the front label, peel the back label, stick the back label. But all the back labels, I had a little dial stamp,
Yeah.
and we had the lot code every single bottle. So it was time consuming, and it's like, I'm getting to the point where it's like I need to streamline my manufacturing process. So
Mm-hmm.
I did some online research, and I was looking for an inline printer or an inline coder, and Sneed came up as very highly recommended, very highly reviewed. Um, I won't lie, I was a little bit on the hesitant side. Being a startup and stuff like that. Looking at spending money on equipment and stuff like that. It's always a little nerve wracking.
Right.
Um, so again, I bounced it off of my dad. We talked about it for a bit, and he said, you think it's going to make things faster? I said, I think it's going to make things faster. It's going to make things easier. Um, and he said, well, what's the worst that happens? It doesn't work out. We can give it a shot. So I bought a little conveyor belt, and we attached the coder to it, and it's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, we're great.
You know, it, it took us a little bit to figure out how to get it to work and set up, but now that it's dialed in, it is absolutely fantastic. We basically can put the label on it, set it on our conveyor belt, it goes down, it automatically prints. It's super easy to change the codes. It's absolutely fantastic. It saves us so much time. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, we're glad to hear it because we work with so many startups, and we know at some point, like when you're first starting a business, you definitely have time to apply everything manually. But obviously, like the bigger your business gets, the more business you have, the less time you have to spend manually applying day codes, lot codes. So we're glad to hear that it's working for you guys. And then talking about all of the traceability codes, obviously when you start selling in the beginning, if you're selling like in farmers markets or more local, you might not need to meet such traceability requirements. So where did you start selling in the beginning, and then where would you say that you're selling now?
So in the beginning, we really doing a lot of like craft shows,
Mm-hmm.
events, things where you kind of set up a booth and offer samples and get people to come by and taste the product, and then if they want to purchase, they can purchase. And we actually still are very involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
We just came out of the Erie County Fair, literally ended yesterday. So that's 12 days in a row of, I think they get like a million two guests over the
Oh.
course of the 12 days. So it's fairly busy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so my big restraint was our packaging. I had gotten some feedback that the plastic didn't really present real well for retail.
Mm-hmm.
So we of I'm going to say we were waiting um, to kind of get through the packaging to start pushing more retail. But I've had conversations with probably at least half a dozen to a dozen retail locations that are interested in carrying the product now that we've switched. So we're gonna probably keep the shows, keep the busy shows,
Hmm.
but I'm definitely gonna start to try to shift over to more of that retail presence.
Right. And then talking about the Erie County Fair, since that is 12 days, would you say that now is like your busiest season of the year, or when would you say that you're the busiest?
I would say that this end of July
Hmm.
through August is probably the start of our busy season.
Okay.
Uh, we pretty much end, yeah, I'd say our first big start of it is the Canal Fest show,
Hmm.
and then we run through August. We're booked through, and then September, October, and then you start to roll into November with Christmas events and Christmas shows, and you know, people love it for gifts. It's unique. So this is pretty much the start of our busy season. We'll be busy right through the end of December.
Right. And then talking about your busy season, what would you say is one of the ways that you guys attract the most customers, or what would you say is your marketing strategy when it comes to events like this?
Um, our marketing strategy, I mean, we rely heavily on being able to get people to taste the product.
Okay.
We have a very, very high capture rate. If we can get people to actually stop and try the product, they'll usually buy at least one bottle.
Hmm.
Um, but most people they'll buy two or four. To go back to what we were talking about when we started with the original four,
Hmm.
um, we started with the four sauces. We went to five, then we went to eight, then we were at 10 for a little while, and we just expanded. We're going to be at 19 now. So, um, trying to offer more variety, there's people that don't like spice. Most of our sauces prior had spice to them, so now I have four that have no heat to them at all. They're more of like a sweet styled sauce. But like I was saying, if we can get people to taste it, that's our biggest selling point.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I had read on your website, because I know that within your story section, you guys had mentioned that your dad, whenever he used to eat wings, the sauce was comprised of just hot sauce and butter. And now you guys are taking that and you guys are offering more palatable choices or like a variety of choices, which I thought was
Correct.
interesting. And then talking about
Yeah, yeah.
challenges that
Most
you've, oh, I'm
oh,
sorry, continue.
no, I was just gonna touch on. I mean, well, so we're in Buffalo.
Hmm.
Well, we're not in Buffalo. We're actually north of Buffalo. But that is very true. As most sauces here are pretty much hot sauce and butter.
Hmm.
And the more mild that you want, the more butter it is, and the less hot sauce.
Right.
So it just the whole thing was to come up with something that had better flavor to it and had an appropriate heat level for whatever your tolerance was.
Hmm. And then talking about the beginning, because I know that you had touched on the fact that manufacturing and packaging was a little bit challenging, but what would you say are some of the other bigger challenges that you faced in the beginning while growing the business?
Um, I would say the I would say the biggest challenges was really, I'm gonna say, trying to figure things out because it's like there's no handbook for it. There's nobody that you can really talk to that has all the answers.
Hmm.
So trying to figure out what packaging works better, what are label requirements, you know what regulations do you have to adhere to when it comes to like ingredient labels or nutritional label or there's just nowhere that you can really get all of that information at once. There's not like hey, I want to make my own sauce. I want to be a food processing facility. What are the regulations? And there's really no one place to figure all that out.
Right.
So that was a big challenge. I mean, when I first started looking into it, it took me almost 2 years to figure out all the legalities behind starting the company.
Hmm. And then, actually, since we work with so many small businesses, we like to keep things as transparent as possible. What would you say are some of like the big defeats that you face along the way as a small business,
Um, I
or if you've had
I don't
any?
know. It's I I mean I don't know that I would say defeats.
Okay.
I've had some challenges. I've
Mhm.
definitely had some challenges. Um, but you know it's kind of one of those things where it's like you just you have to kind of keep your head down and accept that you know mistakes happen, things
Right.
happen, um, and you just got to work through them. I had an instance where I had a misprint on my labels,
Mhm.
and I had just ordered like 4,000 labels, and so I basically have 4,000 labels now that I can't use at all.
Right.
So I was like, well, you know what, you know, it's kind of a shot. So it's like, you know, what do you do? It's like, well, we can cut the misprinted parts off and use them as stickers and give away, you know, stickers to kids, and we can use them to label bags and boxes and that kind of stuff, and just trying to kind of adapt and kind of overcome those challenges.
Mhm.
You know, that like I said, I just when doing a business like this, it's you know, there's goods and there's bads, but you have to be able to kind of persevere and see it through. Otherwise, it's just every time it's just a little speed bump. It can just it can become a lot quick.
Right. It definitely
So,
sounds
but
like you just learned to roll with the punches.
I have to, and I actually I can credit you know I can credit a fair amount of that with you know having been in the culinary and the food service for the last 17 years. I mean,
Mhm.
it wasn't uncommon for your vendor to out you on something that you needed that for the next day, and it's like, okay, well, what's plan B? What's plan C? How are we
Right.
going to adapt to this now? You know, I mean, I remember one instance we were doing a wedding for 250 people,
Mhm.
and we were just finishing the cooking, and the power went out. So we had no power for
Mhm.
this service for 250 people. We brought candles in. We had to serve the food off the back line by candlelight. I mean, it's you know things happen, and it's not necessarily that the things are bad in the moment, but you just kind of have to embrace it and figure out a way to get through it.
Right. And then, what would you say have been some of your biggest accomplishments?
Um, the biggest accomplishments, well, we in our last year we sold almost 10,000 bottles of sauce last year,
Oh, congrats.
which was a lot for us. And we're on pace to beat that again this year.
Mhm.
Um, we um, I think expanding our product line was a big accomplishment. You know, being able to get that next demographic of people that would be interested in those other sauces. And honestly, I think just you know being able to grow and sustain while manufacturing our own product. We talked to a lot of people, and they basically say that you know when people get to the point where we're at, um, they hand it to somebody else. They go
Yeah.
to somebody and have them make it, them bottle it, them label it, and then basically you just buy it back from them
Mhm.
and then resell it. And to me, as a chef, you know, it's like I go into the store and I see other people that, you know, locally owned, handcrafted, this, that, and the other thing, and you look at the back of their bottle and it says manufactured for, manufactured by, and it's not their company, you know. It's like it's not really your product anymore. You
Right.
know, you're just selling something. You're just reselling somebody else's manufacturing. So I mean it loses its personal aspect at that point.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like you're proud to keep everything in house, to keep it in family. It's great. And then,
That's the plan. You know, we really want to try to keep that because, like I said, it to me it's like that's a big distinguishing point between us and anybody else.
right. And then, actually, a question that we've been wanting to ask: are you guys, by chance, trying to come to Texas or bring the product to Texas?
I would love to. Like I said, I was kind of holding off on expanding
Mhm.
until I got into the new packaging. I wanted to switch and get the bottles switched over and get all that stuff. Um, like I said, we were working on getting the labels, make sure the labels are all compliant with, sizing and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a little bit of a challenge, but that's going to be our big push now. So we do we do offer shipping. We are online. We do offer shipping across the country.
Hmm.
So that would probably be the best option in the short term. Um, but if we can get into some kind of distribution and get down there, we would love to.
Right. And then in terms, because I know you had mentioned that you guys have already expanded your product line, and then you guys are working to expand in terms of where you're going to be distributing. What else would you say are the next steps for the company?
Um, yeah, it's that retail push.
Okay.
That's the next thing is the retail push. So I do have some other um, ideas in the pipeline. We've looked at couple more style of sauces, couple more varieties.
Hmm.
We've been bouncing around the idea of trying to get into some dry rubs and stuff like that, but
Oh, nice.
we have to see how we track with that, and um, but I guess our big push is going to be retail. It's going to be trying to get into stores. It's going to be trying to get into distribution, um, those types of things, because I think that will really help to kind of push us to the next level.
Hmm. And then you had actually made the recommendation that we try the Chef Selection Bourbon Barbecue Sauce. Can you tell us a little about the inspiration and development of this particular sauce?
Um, yeah, yeah. So we we were doing the shows, we were doing the events,
Hmm.
and we had a fair number of people that I think I was kind of saying a little bit earlier, they don't like spicy. They
Right.
would try our mild sauce and they'd be like, it's too spicy for me. Or do you have anything sweeter? Do you have anything, you know? And we kind of bounced it around, and we kind of thought, it wasn't really our our area, I guess I'm gonna say. We kind of talked about it for a little bit, and the more that you get the feedback, the more you start to think about it. And
Hmm.
so, you know, I started kind of talking around and seeing what I could find out there, and decided that I wanted to try to do a bourbon barbecue.
Hmm.
And so what I ended up doing was I got in contact with a New York State distillery. Um, I had actually met the owner through um, doing our shows and doing our events, and we had talked back and forth a few times. And so, um, he kind of mentioned that he was he wanted to do some kind of a bourbon barbecue, and I told him I was looking to make a bourbon barbecue. So he was like, maybe we can kind of collaborate on it. And so, uh, I started messing around with the recipes over the winter, and basically got him samples and let him try them. And so we basically have a small batch bourbon barbecue sauce. We offer 6 different varieties.
Hmm.
We have our signature, which is a regular. We offer a dark sweet cherry, fire roasted Fuji apple, a honey mustard, a peach habanero, and then a buffalo sauce, like a buffalo barbecue sauce in that
Right.
as well. And so we use the New York State bourbon in the barbecue,
Hmm.
and to try to keep to that whole small batch, um, handcrafted type of mentality. So we use that in the product, and our pilots, because I literally am just releasing it, so
Hmm.
it's been very well received.
Yeah, no, they all sound really great. Um, and finally, if you could go back to when you first started, what piece of advice would you give yourself now?
Um, I honestly, I don't even know.
There's
I
just so
don't even
much
know.
along the way that you
It's
learn.
it's just it. There's so much along the way.
Hmm.
And it's, I mean, I can't even, hmm, it's a good question, because I don't know. I look at it this way: everything that I've gone through and everything that we've kind of gone through with the product and the growing of the company has all gotten us to where we kind of are.
Right.
And at this point, I think we have a lot of opportunity to expand and grow, and you know, have a successful business. So it's, you know, all the trials and tribulations and all that kind of stuff is kind of added to that. So I don't know that I would change much. I maybe I would have started in the glass. I would have skipped the whole plastic thing and just started with the glass and you know, the lot code printing and you know, those types of things that, you know, were significantly more efficient for time than, you know.
Right. And then, okay, so obviously you grew with the process. Everything that you guys have gone through has helped you get to where you are today. But what piece of advice would you give to, say, like new entrepreneurs? Just because we do work with so many startup companies, so many mom and pop shops, and sometimes this whole process can be daunting, as you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the best advice I would say is that, you know, it's not always gonna be 100% good. You're gonna have challenges. You're gonna have problems. You're gonna have issues that you have to kind of get through and overcome. And it's not always necessarily what the issue is. Sometimes it's how you're handling the situation and how you deal with the challenges rather than the challenge itself. You know, many times the problem is smaller than the reaction to the problem, if that makes sense. You know, it's
Yeah.
in the time that you spend lamenting and being mad or frustrated or upset over something, you could have already fixed it and been on back on track and on the way. You know, so don't don't be concerned if, you know, something goes wrong or something goes sideways. Just find the best way you can to correct it as efficiently as possible and just move on, because things are going to happen.
Right. Well, thank you for the great advice, Joey. We actually want to give you the opportunity, if you have a site that you would like to plug or socials that you would like to plug, where our customers can find you or where anyone can find you. You can actually plug those right now.
Oh, okay. So our website is joeygsauce.com. We have the online shop. There's a story about us. There's some testimonials and stuff there. And we do post our events, like where we're going to be next. Like I said, obviously we're in Buffalo, so most of our events are in Buffalo. And then our Facebook and Instagram is just at Joey G's. So we do different reels, different posts. We try to show different ways to utilize the sauce and incorporate it with with different products. You know, everything from breakfast foods to barbecue to soups and sauces and pastas and yep, everything.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Joey, for joining us on this episode. Again, can't thank you enough for all of the great insight that you've given us. I know our customers are definitely going to appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. And like you said, well, hopefully we'll get down to Texas hopefully soon.
Sounds great. We can't wait to taste the sauce.
What a great interview, Alexa. Appreciate Joey's time and chatting with you and Quentin a little bit about his journey. And also a huge thank you for getting us set up with some of his new sauces that he's getting set to release, his bourbon series. So we've asked a few volunteers from the company. Seems fairly easy when you offer up some free food. We got some rotisserie chicken here, so as not to obscure the flavors too much. We'll go through each of the sauces here with the team. Charles from Technical Services, his son who is now interning with us at in the order fulfillment team, so he's been with us for about a month now. Sammy from Charles's team will be in here as well, along with Brent from the order fulfillment team. And so we'll go round those guys up, and they'll get them in here. We'll get them to start tasting some of the sauces.
All right. So Brent and Charles, both of you guys have a lot of experience with cooking. Whenever you're making a sauce or using a sauce, what do you like to see from one? What's like key characteristics?
Balance and texture consistency, adequately seasoned.
Well, choosing the right sauce, complement the what's going with it. If you're needing something that's a little sweet, a little savory, if you need something that needs a little heat or to help balance out a little too much heat in your spices, that'd be me. All right, let's start with the first one here. Looks like we got the signature sauce, Kentucky Sun bourbon barbecue sauce. All right.
Barbecue.
Barbecue. Nothing says loving like barbecue. All right.
We're not kidding, they say bourbon. That's bourbony.
Got a little smoky in there.
Good enough
Tastes pretty
smoke.
good, yeah.
Tastes good.
Good basic sauce, good things go on just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Something I appreciate in sauces, not overly sugared. Like you get like a, like most non-homemade sauces are way too sweet because they use a fructose. There's no fructose in these, I believe.
Check later.
Nope, those are actually all pretty much single ingredients you can pronounce.
You can pronounce the ingredients, that's a good thing.
Oh, so it's designed by a cook, not a chemist.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it tastes really good.
Now, gentlemen, since again we have such esteemed guests like a county grand champion barbecue
Winner.
team member
Talking
here,
about you, Bond guy.
and chef background, which sauce in terms of escalating do you guys think we should do next? If we try from traditional,
You got
their
dark
signature
cherry,
Signature, dark cherry, fire roasted.
apple, fire roasted apple, and peach habanero.
Certainly the dark cherry. The fire roasted and the peach habanero will
Have a little extra spice to it,
yeah,
hopefully.
yeah.
So,
They'll carry
That's what I
over
like.
in the next sauce.
so we'll start off with the dark cherry then.
A little
No,
sweeter.
this chicken is
Yeah, it's a little sweeter.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
definitely
so, but I mean,
taste a
that's
little
dark
bit
cherry,
of
right?
cherry, yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely taste a little bit of the cherry on there.
That's really good on chicken. Like that's like that sweetness is really good on chicken.
Is there almost like a Dr. Pepper taste to it, kind of cherry at all, or?
I have to try without the chicken, and I don't want to let that
fair.
smell.
It's not quite that sweet,
Just that one
but
kind
it does
of.
have a good flavor. I'd see that on a good set of ribs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, this is a rib type sauce to me. No.
I will be
We
sure.
got an order down now.
That's my favorite so far.
Back to the sauce. I like this one.
It's
Yeah,
like 20
yeah.
before it was
The apple's got a good, nice flavor in there, subtle and sweet.
Yep.
But
It should be like me
Um,
and my girlfriend.
no
Yes.
little,
Okay, so that is you. CCLN20.
There you go.
And I don't think you're old
I
man.
guess I was expecting a little spice in there. I was.
I was
No,
expecting
Yes.
a little
he's
kick
not.
there.
He's
Yeah.
not versed in
I
our
was-
I
technology.
could definitely
too.
use I think a little pepper in there or something like that to help balance it out a little bit.
I was expecting spicy.
I definitely would still use this on a good pork chop or even a pork butt.
Are you
Mhm.
finding that a lot of these would be really good on pork?
Just my natural tendencies when it comes to things like fruits like apple and cherry. The signature sauce, no.
Gotcha.
So we're already on the apple.
You know,
Mhm.
even on like some zucchini or stuff
Mhm.
like that would work well like as like a basing sauce for like, some vegetables or something like that. Like yeah, for our vegan friends out there.
It's a good thing we have a chef on staff because he can just
Somebody
do stuff like this.
Like, oh, let me think of something kind of
There's
creative,
two,
actually.
Yeah, I never thought putting barbecue sauce on a zucchini.
Yeah, it's just a
Well-
sauce, right? So like,
You put on your cereal.
I mean,
Cherry, put it on your fudge sundae.
There you go.
all right, onto the spicy.
Orange pepper.
Yeah, I'm curious how spicy that habanero one is going to be.
It's peach habanero.
Yeah,
Definitely
there's
pick
enough
up-
spice in there. Like,
Definitely pick up the peach. That's a good mild flavor.
So my mom could eat it?
Yeah, there's not a lot of kick there, but you definitely it's more spice than the rest of them.
like, yeah, like this is more than your standard red hot sauce at a Mexican restaurant. But
You said
Yeah,
it's more spicy than a standard
Yeah.
red sauce. or-
yeah,
oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, you
Oh.
can taste the spicy right away.
Yeah.
It tastes good.
It's got a fast.
Like it
Does
have
it?
a good flavor.
But it's what we call front end spice, right? It's not like sort of long lasting in the back,
Yeah. No, this
Doesn't
one
hang out
hits.
with you.
and then it mellows out like you know.
It does not stay that
Oh.
long.
And then after that, peach comes in. You could do a dessert with this, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It would be surprisingly good on vanilla ice cream,
Really?
or pecan and praline ice cream too. some type of like.
Very interesting.
On a cobbler? Was that a scoop of ice cream on top?
It could, yeah. I would reduce it down to a glaze at that point. But like, there's like a big trend of people doing like really good quality olive oil and salt on vanilla ice cream now. That's what made thought that. It makes it more rich.
Yeah, last one was really good. It's spicy.
I'm curious to
Like,
see
definitely
where
it is.
I like the spicy.
Yes,
habanero is
I like
in
I
the
usually
spicy.
spice when I eat.
ingredient list.
100%.
Spice
Yeah.
makes it nice.
You can do this on some fish or
Mm.
glaze a chicken with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the peach with some whitefish. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yes. These would go, these would go well on cod, halibut. I haven't eaten dark, or I haven't eaten light flesh firm fish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Brent, first overall thoughts on sauces.
Something I can certainly tell was created in a kitchen, not a lab. That's it. Just something. I'm very good at telling the stuff that I could create in a kitchen versus I would need gloves and glasses to do. Right.
Take your time.
Yeah, there's all the cameras are on you. Man.
No, you
Everybody's staring at you, Charles.
Nothing new about that. Normally it says I said something stupid, but whatever.
With the shine.
The glare. No, I like them all. They're all have a very consistent base, so the quality goes through each of them. As far as the thickness and everything, you know what you're dealing with. I mean, from in general across all the sauces, definitely a good flavor profile. You're able to pick up the cherry, you're able to pick up the apple, you're able to pick up the peach, and when you're looking to complement or especially if my side looking at competition things, or if you're catering and looking at plating something, you want something that's going to offer some variety, offer a little balance, things like that, and help to accentuate the protein or accentuate the vegetable that you're bringing out. And so I think they do a really good job with that.
No, I actually agree with both. I don't cook that much, but I think if I taste this in the pork or something even like the chicken it tastes really good. All four taste amazing. I was surprised how nice it tastes because sometimes when you try barbecue, is something the brand said it has too much sugar, you get tired of it. But I think I can try this and eat it, and I can just continue tasting it. It is really good.
I gotta agree that Blanche over there, that it was very delicious. Definitely tasted homemade. And of course with Charlie as well. I don't do much cooking. He does all the cooking for me. He's actually my personal chef sometimes. Hired him, of course.
Wait till that invoice hits,
Yep.
Mr. Jokes.
Just kidding.
For almost the last 18 years.
Yeah. I definitely like the spicy of the peach habanero the best, but I can see where I would use where I would want them all, and I can definitely taste their qualities and their differences. Very good sauces.